good evening visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Jennifer Parker. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. And during this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, I invite you all to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Edward Benson, who was killed during the Second World War. Edward Benson was born on the 6th of September 1914 in Launceston, Tasmania, the eldest son of Adolf Tideman Benson and Margaret Benson. His father died when he was just 4 years old, and his mother later married Ferdinand Hotstone. Edward had 4 siblings, Minnie, Gladys, Herbert and Rupert, and was known as Ted or Laddie. Benson attended Invermay School. He was well known and a keen sportsman, and played for the Invermay Soccer Club, the Tabernacle Cricket and Badminton Clubs, and the Excelsior Badminton Club. After leaving school, he worked as a steward at the Launceston Club. Benson enlisted on the 3rd of September 1940 under the name of Edward Benson, and was allotted to the reinforcements to the 2nd 12th Battalion in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force. He embarked from Melbourne aboard the Mauretania on the 29th of December, arriving in Palestine on the 4th of February 1941. He served at Tobruk, and in May received a gunshot wound to his right foot and thigh. He was hospitalised but recovered in time to rejoin his unit in July. After being withdrawn from Tobruk in August, the battalion trained in Palestine and joined the forces garrisoning in Syria in September. In early January, Australian troops were ordered to withdraw from the Middle East in response to the outbreak of war with Japan. Benson embarked with his unit on the 12th of February 1942, arriving at Brisbane on the 28th of March. In August 1942, the 2nd 12th embarked aboard the Unshan for New Guinea. During the voyage, Benson was appointed Lance Corporal. On New Year's Day 1943, the 2nd 12th Battalion tied units at Bona in a large-scale attack on Japanese forces there. The attack was ultimately successful, but came with heavy losses, including Lance Corporal Edward Benson, who was killed in action. He was 28 years old. Benson was buried at Buna, but was later reinterred, and his remains now rest in the Port Moresby Bomana War Cemetery. His headstone reads, "Greater love hath no man than this, to die for his friends." He left behind a family who deeply felt his loss, as evidenced in the multitude of notices they placed in the newspapers for years after his death. For years, poems were inserted by various family members and friends. One from his mum and dad read, "We'll never forget, Ted, when we stood at the station and you kissed us and said goodbye. Now our hearts are torn and broken. Our eyes are wet with tears we shed when we sit alone and think of you, dear Ted. He did his duty for God, King, and country." Another was placed, "In treasured memory of my friend, Ted, who gave his all in New Guinea, from his cobbler Jeff." Lance Corporal Edward Benson's name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Edward Benson, who died for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.